Sup peeps, Saturday morning, my name's Ian, I sell books on eBay and I've actually had some sales. Still not a good day, it's still slow, but it feels a whole lot better than it has been for the last 2 or 3 days. You know, this last week has been really slow on eBay, and from what I'm hearing from everyone else, it's the same everywhere. So there's obviously something going on to affect that. People not spending money. Is it eBay up to its usual tricks? Who knows? Anyway, I've got about half a dozen sales that have gone out in the last 24 hours. So let's show you what they were. A couple of interesting ones in there. And also, I've been thinking, but I'll get to that. Anyway, first up, 5 Terry Pratchett paperbacks, all picked up in the last week or so. I got a nice wee bundle of these. They're kind of the original artwork on all of them, but they're not the first editions. They're all from like 95, 96, so a wee bit later. But yeah, still quite nice, and I do love, you know, those original Terry Pratchett covers are just fantastic. There's so much detail in them, you know, the full wraparound detail. It would be great to be able to get, like I say, these as posters of some sort. But yeah, aren't they just gorgeous? And that's a reason in itself. And then it was probably round about the last continent where they started to go downhill a wee bit. Not quite as detailed, a little less going on, and as you can see from Thud, it dipped by then. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But the 5 of those sold for £14.49. So a not bad wee start. Next, a pre-made bundle. This is The Secret Diaries 1, 2 and 3 point horror books. Can't see them because they're all wrapped up, but they went for £9.99. 3 little paperbacks. Then we've got another bundle, 6 this time, and I hope they come under the 2 kilos. I really do. I mean, if they don't, they don't, but they're not the biggest books. A Harlan Coben, and we've got 6 Harlan Coben paperbacks. Missing You, The Woods, Runaway, Just One Look, Caught, and The Stranger. And the 6 of them went for £15.99. So I just, one of those bread and butter authors that if I've only got a few, they don't sell, but as soon as I top up that list and it starts trending again, boom, off they go. Next, picked this up the other day, and it always sells almost straight away, every single time, without fail. So every time I get it, I push the price up just a little bit, and I'll keep doing that until it gets to the point where it doesn't sell. But we've got Frank Herbert's Dune. Excellent book, the 50th anniversary edition. I have had this edition many times, and it always sells. So this time it went for £8.34. Again, it's good condition, so very good condition. People get what they pay for. I mean, the cover price is £9.99, so people are making a wee bit of a saving on it there. But £8.34 for Dune. Dune. Next. Now, I said to you yesterday, possibly the day before, that I've picked up dozens of these again lately. I've always got quite a good supply, but I got loads and loads in, which has been excellent. So we've got a wee bundle of Julia Donaldson going out. Only 3 in this order. Bit of Cave Baby, Spinnerella, and a hardcover copy of The Snail and the Whale. So yeah, that's always quite nice. I just realised I never checked this one to make sure it wasn't scrolled on when I listed it. No, it's clean, good. And the 3 of those, £10.59. So Julia Donaldson always gets me my money back. There's never any doubt about it. And finally, it just went out this morning at 7:45. £43.99 for a big Jack Vetriano book. What's it? Vetriano, A New Life, A New Edition. Yeah, that's, I mean, it is what it is. And I think I've sold this a couple of times before, but £43.99, that's kind of saved the days. It's going internationally as well, so God only knows what they've paid for the full postage on it. A Gordon, that sounds like an Englishy spoke name, so it's maybe going to Ireland. Let's have a quick look, and a nosy and a neb. Nibbit. Where are we going? Australia. There you go. It's heading down under for a bit of Jack Vetriano. Let's say that sale accounted for a rather large proportion of the total day's sales. So that lot, 130 quid. You know the score. A third to eBay, a third on post, and a third in profit. So still, you know, slow day if you're trying to make a living off of doing this. But better than it has been over the last few days, so hope that continues. Yesterday I ended up listing about £716 worth of books. Mostly all my bread and butter listings getting updated, a few bundles and a couple of individual items thrown in on top of that, including that Dune book, which sold straight away. So I'm going to try and at least match that again today and tomorrow and really get the volume in there, keep it going. I've got plenty to get listed, so that won't be a problem finding the value. It's just taking the time to do it. Although, to be honest, that didn't actually take that long yesterday. I think I maybe spent about 3 hours listing in bits throughout the day, so that's why it's a bit of a guesstimate on the time, but about 3 hours. So putting up, you know, a couple of £100 worth in value an hour. If that sells even at the 3 for 2, then that's like £120 in sales in an hour, and a third of that would be about £40 an hour. So if that all sells, then, you know, that's somewhere between £20 and £40 an hour you can make off of doing that. It's just managing to get enough of it going that you're working enough hours in the day to make that a proper wage. You know how it works. Anyway, what I've been thinking about, right, and I'm going to grab one of this lot back up because it's slightly relevant. Let's just find the right bundle. Here we go. Sorry for the noises. Right, the other night, a couple of nights ago, the new Roadhouse movie, Jake Gyllenhaal, Conor McGregor. The trailer looked quite good. It's my kind of film. I'll give it a watch. A bit of fighting, bit of action, bit of drama, whatever it might be. And I always really liked the original. I'm not going to say it's like one of my favourite movies all time, but it's watchable. I watched it again earlier this year. I think when I saw the new one was coming out, I went back and watched the old Patrick Swayze version, which actually stands up quite well. I mean, it's a B movie, but it's entertaining, it's enjoyable. So I watched the new one, and if the first film didn't exist, it would have been okay. There was zero depth. I did not care one bit about any of the characters in it whatsoever. They were just there. Jake Gyllenhaal as Dalton, you know, the bouncer. It just, his whole thing is like, if he gets angry, that's it, he's going to lose it, which is kind of like similar to Swayze in the first one. But I was never convinced by him in the slightest, let's be honest. Some nice wee choreographed scenes, but it was like Tom Cruise playing Jack Reacher. It just didn't quite cut it. The supporting cast all around were mince. They were awful. Supposed to be a relationship, an attachment between him and a young girl, and that's what sends him over the edge. But it was all or nothing. The only redeeming feature was Conor McGregor as the villain, and they did not use enough of him. There could have been so much more, but he absolutely stole the show throughout. Brilliant. You know, a total caricature, but really, really, really fun to watch him when he was on the screen. And it was worth watching the film just to see what happened with him. The rest of it was mince. And then that got me thinking. Remakes, adaptations, all of these things. And it took my head to another, it's probably been remade a couple of times, but an adaptation which really, really annoyed me once I read the book. I Am Legend, right? So the Will Smith movie came out, I don't know, 20 years ago, something like that. It was quite good. A bit of a end of the world vampire-y film. Quite enjoyed it. It was alright. Had a couple of wee scares. Some, again, good effects, good action. Will Smith's good in most things that he does, so always enjoy that. And then, not long ago, I read the book, Richard Matheson, I Am Legend, and it just destroyed that movie. Absolutely destroyed it. spoiler alert, but the whole point of that story is the final line in the book, right, which also happens to be the title. And that's what makes sense of the entire story and the narrative, and it flips the whole world on its head, and it's brilliant. I mean, the book was excellent. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was good when I read it, and as time passes and it sinks in, it's one of them that stayed there, and you remember it. You remember the characters. You remember what happened. You remember where it went, and you're still left with that little thought at the end of like, oh, that's what that book did. In the film, the Will Smith film, I'm quite sure there's been other adaptations, they just completely disregarded that aspect of the story, which is the key point of the entire thing. You know, any sense that comes out of it is that final line of the book, the title of the book, I Am Legend, and it just completely changed it, ignored it. It should not have been allowed to have been called that. It should not have been allowed to claim to have been anything to do with that original book, because it wasn't. It was a guy fighting vampires in the city, thinking he's the last man about, and that's it. But that is not what I Am Legend was about, the book. So I don't know, anyone else read it and seen the movie? Agree? Disagree? Am I missing the point completely? But that just was like, I really get annoyed when I think about that, which is ridiculous. But if you haven't read it, read it. It's a great book. It's a wee book. I had one in stock which I read and sold. I've never seen another copy of it, but I'll stick a link in the description or something for a copy of it on Amazon, see if I can find a cheap link to put in there. But yeah, great book. If you haven't read it, read it, then watch the film and get really annoyed at what they did with the film. And then that got me thinking some more, and it actually was because I was picking up these books to pack, the Terry Pratchetts, and again thinking about adaptations. And I know there's been a few, the Sky original productions of some of the Terry Pratchett stories, and I've tried to watch them, and I've tried to love them because I love Terry Pratchett. They're no good. You know, there's the odd wee redeeming feature, but they're not good. I mean, David Jason is Rincewind. David Jason, great. Did he get that part because he's David Jason, or because he was right for the part? I think he got it because he was David Jason, to be honest. Again, I'm not dissing him. He's been brilliant in many things. But the Terry Pratchett adaptations, they deserve so much more. They should be Game of Thrones level, in my opinion, which doesn't mean much, but hey, that is my opinion. They should definitely be up there on that scale. You know, instead of making the Rings of Power or House of Dragons, do some justice to the Discworld, which again got me thinking about who would be good in those roles, because David Jason, great, but Rincewind never struck me in the books as a wee bumbling guy. He was a bit bumbling, a bit naive, a bit whatever, but again, not David Jason, not Del Boy. So I was then watching Ford versus Ferrari and Christian Bale, and I'm thinking, God, stick a beard on him. That's Rincewind. No, him or Cillian Murphy. But I think Christian Bale for Rincewind in a proper long adaptation of some of the Discworld books. So then who else? Who are the other main characters in there? Like Samuel Vimes. Rugged. Hard. Bit of an everyman. Who's perfect for that? And I remember when I was reading the books thinking of Bronson, that one. Well, reading one of the books, can't remember which one, but Bronson had watched it, Tom Hardy, and that became Sam Vimes without the moustache and the shaved head and the rest of it. So yeah, Tom Hardy for Sam Vimes, Christian Bale for Rincewind. Where else can we go? You know, I can't remember the character's name, but the wee dwarf that's in the watch, who turns out to be a woman, Conor McGregor. That would be great fun. But yeah, so how do we get them to make a proper adaptation of some of these Discworld books? You know, a proper budget, the right actors, don't make it just for British Christmas telly, you know, a proper worldwide phenomenon with real A-list names to give it a bit of boost, and good actors, because it's fantastic material. There's plenty more to cast. Lord Veterinary, I'm never quite sure how to say half the names in this, to be honest. You read them in your head one way, and then when you go to say it out loud, it just doesn't really work. Lord Veterinary, you know, you've got likes of Charles Dance out there. To be honest, Alan Rickman was always in my brain for that, but obviously he passed away a few years ago now, so we can't use him. But maybe somebody like Charles Dance for that. Maybe he was in the TV adaptation and that's what's going in my head. I can't remember. But yeah, there's plenty more to pick and choose. Corporal Carrot, somebody who's obviously younger but has that classic Hollywood hunk look, wee bit of a country lad. I don't know who to go with for Corporal Carrot, but aye, let's know what you think. If anybody's interested in this kind of conversation whatsoever. But yeah, that's where my head went when I was thinking about these things the other day. From the terrible Roadhouse remake, excuse me, to the Terry Pratchett adaptations that have been made via I Am Legend. Classic book, not so classic movie. What other? I mean, there's lots of brilliant films that have been adapted from books, which I have not read the books. I mean, Blade Runner, I've still never read To Android's Dream. The Shining's an obvious one, although I have read both and much prefer the book, although I really enjoyed the film. Two different stories, I think. A bit like I Am Legend. They shared a title, they semi-shared a premise, but they were two different stories. You know, in the movie, it kind of defeated its whole... The whole point of the film was, or the whole point of the story is, the house is trying to get the boy so that it'll have all of this extra power. So anyone with the shine cannot be got in that house. In the film, they kill the old guy who had it and taught Danny everything he had. So that was done anyway. That always bothered me. They get rid of the topiary and put it into a hedge maze. You know, things like that. They just changed, which weren't for the better. So I think two very, very different stories there. The book was scary. The film was scary, but in very different ways. So yeah, there's been lots of adaptations that may or may not work. I don't know what I'm missing. What's good? And that's really all I've got to blather on about today. Thanks everybody for all your comments in the last couple of videos. It's good and bad to know that everyone else is having slow sales. It's mince that everybody's having slow sales, or it appears everybody's having slow sales. I'm sure there's a few exceptions out there. So it would be good if everybody could be making money off of this, but at the same time it provides a little bit of comfort that it's not just you, it's not just me. There's something across the board which is causing everything to slow down and go a wee bit slower. Maybe the same on Amazon and out in the retail world. In fact, I was thinking Amazon have got their big spring sale on at the moment, so maybe that's drawing a lot of traffic that's just not coming to eBay over the last few days. That ends, I think, on the 25th, so maybe there'll be a pick up after that. But yeah, it's a slight comfort to know that it is everybody, and it's not just, you know, what I have got that you have got, where it means that the stock's rubbish or the prices are wrong or there's something wrong with your listings. It's just across the board, and it will pick up again for everybody once whatever these causes are by. So yeah, thank you all for the support and the comments on that. Yeah, that's us. That's it. Saturday, I'm going to get this lot packed up. I'm going to pack it up, drop it off round at Royal Mail. And yesterday I went in and picked up a stack of the Children's Classics series, which I've sold a couple of times in the past. And I got what I thought was 2 complete sets, which would have been very nice. But I've got books 1 to 25, and then in the other set I am missing book 15. I'm annoyed. But I recall that in the shop, they had a few of these out on the shelf, which I hadn't gone to because I knew I had a stack of them already and they weren't shifting, and there was definitely not a complete set there. And then when I went through the bins at the back, there was a whole load more of them, and I grabbed all of them. And I meant to go back and just pick up the ones off the shelf, and I completely forgot. So I'm going to go in today. They've been sitting there for weeks, so it will still be there. I'm going to go in today and grab those spare ones and see if I can get book 15 to make up 2 complete sets and get them listed up today. They're not huge money for the size of them, but they've been a really cheap pickup. So, you know, if I can sell them for 25-30 quid for the full set and have 2 of them, that's very nice indeed. Let's see, I already had a few which helped make up the 2 sets, but I'm missing that one book, book 15, Alice in Wonderland. So I'm going to go and grab that. So I've got 2 full sets to sell, and still a few spares, which will make up another set as it goes. But it's one of these series where you get loads of books 1 and books 2 and books 3, and then it plummets for the later numbers and the later editions where people didn't keep buying for that full set. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. I really hope I get it. Other than that, a lot of listing. A lot of listing. And I'm only going to pick up those books today. I'm not getting anything else because I can't move in this place at the moment. It's ridiculous. And part of that is I keep filling up my collection shelves. I did 2. I got another John Connolly, Dark Hollow. I don't think it's a first edition or anything, but it's the same. Oh no, it is. It's got a 1 in the line, so that's from the year 2000, and it's the second book. So every dead thing I still need for the one before it, and then a few to come after it. But that was a nice sweet addition to my collection. And I also got a copy of Misery. So again, not a first edition. Well, again, I thought the other one wasn't, but it was. This isn't a first, well, it is a first edition, but it's a second print. So where we go, first printed 1987, second impression, September 1987. So that's in there. So I don't remember Misery being that old, but 1987, I was 13, and I read it when it came out in paperback, so that was probably, I was about 14. So I just got into Stephen King. I've been reading It and The Shining, then Misery. I kind of followed them as they came out from there, and then later in my 20s went back and read things like Cujo. Cujo's brilliant, by the way. So yeah, got a copy of Misery. I haven't read that since I read it way back when, so I'm going to get my head into that at some point because I have not been reading enough of late. I've still got it sitting here from when I read it. That's the last thing I read, The Pale House Devil. It took a couple of hours. Before that, I've been churning through Greg Hurwitz's Lee Child mints, to be honest. I mean, they're fun. I enjoy them. I didn't read them if I didn't enjoy them. But just, it's like sticking on crap in the telly in the background. It just was easy to get through. So I have decided I need to get back to reading more. Instead of sitting for 2 hours of an evening flicking through channels and watching random bits of rubbish until I decide I can't be bothered watching it, I need to spend a bit more time reading because reading's brilliant. I just get the head back into it. So I was going through what I've got that I have never actually read, and one of the books that popped up was The Stand, Stephen King again. You'll notice I ain't got it on the shelf because the only copy of that I've got at the moment is I think it's when he did the reissue, the special edition, and it doesn't have a dust jacket or anything, so it's just one that I picked up in a big lot of something somewhere, and it's sat out in the to be dealt with pile, because I don't like listing books without the dust jackets. It always seems like it's not really worth it. So I thought, right, well, let's just read that one and get that done. So I actually started that last night, and it's great to get back into that kind of Stephen King world. His universe is phenomenal. It dragged us through the first 100 pages very, very easily. So working through that, and then I went and thought, right, okay, I need some more new things on the shelf to pick up and read. I do have a stack of books to read. Some of the Robert Harris that I've been picking up I haven't read yet, so there's 1, 2, I've got 3 of those to read, plus any new ones that I managed to get. I want to read Misery again, as I said. Is there... If It Bleeds, Full Dark No Stars, I've read bits of those, but I need to get back in and read all of them. There's a few other Stephen King ones that I've never picked up, never read. The one about JFK, want to read that. But I went on and ordered a couple of different things. What were they again? I can't find them just now. I'll tell you them about them when they arrive. They should be in the next couple of days, and they might be fun, but something a bit different. So we'll see how that works out. But this time, that is all I've got to talk about. I've got my new books on the way, which I want to get the stand read quite quickly to get into them, but it's a bit of a beast, so it might take me a few days. Pick up that spare children's classic book today, list £700 or £800 worth of books, and hopefully get some good sales in across the weekend, just to get a bit of momentum towards the end of the month. It's frustrating when things are going well enough that, you know, the money builds through the business, and then you get to the point where you've got to start paying everything out, and suddenly there isn't enough, and that's frustrating because there's only one place where I can take a cut on that, and that's, you know, my pay out of it all. Everything else has to be paid to keep things ticking over. So a couple of good days just to give that reassurance that we're back on track for that side of it. I don't take a huge wage out of this, but I've got to take something to justify spending any time on it. So yeah, that'll be fun. And that's it. So see ya, love ya, bye.